In the sweltering heat of Shanghai's Qizhong Forest Sports City Arena, where legends are forged and dreams shatter like fragile glass, Novak Djokovic, the unbreakable Serb with 24 Grand Slam titles etched into eternity, just crumbled. Not to a rival titan, not to a seeded powerhouse, but to a ghost from the qualifiers. A 26-year-old Monegasque wildcard named Valentin Vacherot, ranked a measly 204th in the world. In straight sets, 6-3, 6-4, the king fell, his empire teetering on the edge of oblivion. How does the GOAT get grounded by a guy who scraped through 3 qualifying rounds just to breathe the same air? This isn't just an upset, it's a seismic quake ripping through tennis lore, leaving us all gasping. Is Djokovic's dynasty finally dust? If your jaw's on the floor like mine, smash the like button right now and subscribe for the raw sports takedowns, because shocks like this don't wait for permission. Let's dive deeper. The sun baked the court like a relentless forge on October 11, 2025, turning the semifinal into a cauldron of sweat and strategy. Djokovic, at 38, strode out with that familiar predator's gait, his 4 Shanghai crowns gleaming in memory like trophies on a shelf he owned. Vacherot? A lanky underdog fresh from Texas A&M's college circuits, his baggy shorts and unassuming serve screaming imposter. The crowd, a sea of Chinese flags and Djokovic chants, buzzed with the certainty of coronation. But as the first ball flew, cracks spiderwebbed across the narrative. Djokovic's hip, that nagging phantom from weeks of grind, whispered betrayal early. At 3-4 in the opening set, he winced, summoning the physio like a fallen warrior calling for aid. Vacherot, eyes wide but feet planted like ancient oaks, pounced. A forehand laser down the line, break point converted. The set slipped away 6-3, and the arena fell into a hush broken only by scattered gasps. Was this the spark of sorcery, or just a fluke flicker? Djokovic rubbed his lower back, shadows lengthening under his eyes, while Vacherot fist-pumped subtly, his 78% first serve clip a silent vow. The underdog wasn't just surviving, he was scripting mutiny. As the second set dawned, Djokovic rallied, his backhand slicing like a scythe through fog, forcing deuce in the third game. Hope flickered. Could the Serb summon his invincible aura, turn this tide with one volcanic roar? But then, a slip on the baseline, another twinge, and Vacherot's return game ignited, 44% conversion rate devouring serves like hunger incarnate. The Monegasque's 23 winners danced across the clay-like hardcourt, each one a dagger twist. At 4-4, Djokovic saved a breakpoint with a grunt-born ace, the crowd erupting in frenzy. Tension coiled like a spring. Would the GOAT claw back, or would the qualifier claim his scalp? Vacherot held, stone-faced, his ground strokes from both flanks weaving a web no king could escape. The ninth game cracked open, a double fault from Djokovic, uncharacteristic as winter rain in the desert, and suddenly it was 5-4. The air thickened, every breath a bet on destiny. Vacherot served for the match, the scoreboard a taunt, and in that eternal game, he faced his own abyss, a breakpoint against him at 40-30. The ball rocketed back, Djokovic's roar echoing like thunder, but it clipped the line, called in. Shock rippled through the stands. Vacherot, heart-pounding visibly, reset, unleashed a 120 mph serve, and sealed it 6-4. Embrace at the net, Djokovic's pat on the back a mentor's grace, but his eyes? Hollow with the weight of what-ifs. This wasn't defeat, it was a dagger to the throne, Vacherot rising 146 spots to crash the top 100, his cousin Arthur Rinderknecht waiting in the final like familial fate. From college courts to Masters glory, the qualifier's odyssey pulsed with improbable fire, each point a chapter in underdog gospel. Djokovic, gracious in eclipse, murmured of Vacherot's poise, deflecting his own hip sabotage. Yet whispers lingered, injury, age, or the cruel math of time catching the untouchable? The Serbs' tournament, a valiant limp to semis, now a footnote in chaos. Vacherot, dazed in press, called it pure joy, lost in Djokovic's title torrent announcement. But joy for one is elegy for another. Djokovic's Shanghai scepter slipped from grip. As night cloaked the arena, fans milled in disbelief, replaying that final break like a cursed loop. The sport's soul stirred. In tennis's grand theater, paupers don't just play kings, sometimes they coronate themselves. And with Vacherot eyeing that elusive first title against kin, the final loomed as family feud or fairy tale fracture? Djokovic retreated to shadows, plotting Paris redemption, but this loss etched deeper than scars, a reminder that even immortals bleed baseline red. The crowd dispersed, echoes of unserved aces haunting the empty stands, while Vacherot's star, once dim, now blazed trails uncharted. In the quiet aftermath, one truth burned: upsets aren't anomalies, they're the pulse of passion, the spark that reignites fandom's wild heart. Djokovic's fall wasn't end, it was evolution's sly wink, birthing legends from the qualifier's grit. The fallout cascaded like dominoes toppled by a phantom hand, Shanghai's semi-final morphing into myth overnight. Vacherot, that unheralded monegasque with a serve honed on American college clay, didn't just win, he rewrote the record books. Lowest-ranked finalist in Masters 1000 annals since the tour's dawn, sixth this century to storm such heights on debut breath. His path? A gauntlet of giants, rune-quartered in quarters, now kin in the championship clash. Arthur Rinderknecht, French firebrand and cousin by blood, stood as the eighth seed, their final a tableau of tangled lineage. Would family forge triumph or fracture under pressure? Vacherot's joy, raw and unfiltered, spilled in interviews, an hour 40 of bliss amid boos for the brave. Djokovic, ever the sage, pivoted praise to the puppeteer's poise, his own physio inter. Footnotes in defeat's diary. The Serb's hip, that sly saboteur, slowed strokes to stutter, winners dwindling to 9 against Vacherot's explosive 23. Heat and humidity, Shanghai's cruel cocktail, amplified agony, turning aces to afterthoughts. Yet in that embrace, mentor met meteoric rise, Djokovic's whisper, lost to mics, rumored as rocket fuel for the rookie's resolve. Backstage, Vacherot's team erupted, champagne corks popping like celebratory gunfire, while Djokovic's camp huddled in hushed strategy, Paris Bercy beckoning his bomb. The tennis world tilted, memes of the GOAT's grimace flooded feeds, analysts dissecting if this was aberration or autumnal slide. At 38, with Olympics gold fresh but slams stalled, whispers of twilight grew thorns. Vacherot? From number 204 to projected 58, a catapult into elite ether, his Texas A&M tales now lore, scholar-athlete turned shockwave. The final script teased tragedy, cousins clashing, one crown for all. Rinderknecht, seated steady, boasted baseline brutality, but Vacherot's cool, unshaken under spotlights, hinted havoc. As dawn broke over the Huangpu, pundits piled predictions: underdog encore or seed salvation? Djokovic watched from afar, ice packs his throne, plotting quiet conquests. This upset's echo? A clarion call to the ranks: qualifiers aren't cannon fodder, they're chaos incarnate. Fans, from Belgrade bars to Monaco cafes, toasted the twist. Tennis, after all, thrives on the unforeseen, or as single break births ballads. Vacherot's ground strokes, twin-wing tempests, dismantled defense like autumn leaves, his composure a cloak against chaos. Djokovic's grit,